floorboarding with the iron boy. I don't know. Listen, he might just break the floor. He is fucking.
Oh, hello. Come here. Come here.
Great timing.
Great timing.
You know, he was hiding around there.
Hiding around the corner. Hello.
What?
Congrats,
How are you? Well done, Felix.
Well done.
Congratulations.
Good performance.
Oh, we were just talking about you.
Were you? Was it good or what?
I think Dylan's words were, Eddie's got to fucking deliver.
Yeah, I've delivered this whole career. So, in fact, they should call me the fucking postman, to be honest
We need
with
the jewel, son. We need the
you.
jewel.
Don't worry about that.
Gotta deliver.
I deliver. And you've delivered because
Yeah, we both
we've gone
delivered
from
to a certain
6
degree.
rounds off TV to headlining here on pay-per-view. So it's gone rather well. But we've got to keep the momentum. And, you know, I said in an interview yesterday, I admire Dillian because he backs himself. He does back himself. And the next fight he's in, the fights that we're talking about are very difficult fights. But he's prepared to be in them. They're all dangerous fights. And everything, you're always gambling in this division up at that level. You know, Parker, Chisora, whether it's Brazil, whether it's Povetkin, these are proper tough fights. So we're going to get a date in the diary, hopefully announced in the next week.
He was asking about May, not April.
Yeah, I think, I mean, he's on pay-per-view. So depending on what pay-per-views are happening when, you want 4 or 5 weeks between them. So
Is 20th your first option?
probably, I think it's a perfect pay-per-view date. But obviously, we've got to get the right fight, we've got to build the right card. And, you know, Dillian and his team have been involved in doing that consistently in the last 2 fights. So we've already been talking about fights for the undercard. We've probably got 3 or 4 crackers that would fill up this place along with him. So, but April 20 is 11 weeks, something like that. 12
So you've
weeks,
got to get cracking with that. If you're
we want to get him up and running in the next, week, 10 days. So Dillian, I think, probably ticking over now. But obviously, he needs an opponent because he's not just going to go into camp.
But you mentioned some opponents potentially that you're looking at.
Yeah.
Brazil, Ortiz, Povetkin.
Povetkin.
Will it be one of those 3?
I believe so. I mean, look, in an ideal world, we like Brazil because it puts him WBC mandatory for the winner of Fury against
Are you
Wilder.
negotiating currently with
We've had
Brazil?
some chats. Yeah, we've had some chats, and there'll be offers to Brazil, and there has been. So it's just whether Brazil wants a fight like that when he might just say, "I'll sit tight," but he ain't willing to sit tight because he could sit tight.
And but what would we be waiting for?
He'd be waiting for a possible WBO mandatory. He'd be waiting for a WBC
When is that due?
situation. September.
Right, so that's a bit of a
after
wait.
his next fight. Yeah, but it'll be called before then. That's when it's got to take place. So, but I don't think he's never wanted to wait around. He's never. Every time Dillian Whyte fights, him and his team phone me literally the week after for a meeting to discuss the next one. It's not like, I've just had a pay-per-view fight. Give me a couple of months. I'm going to go and swan around. He wants to fight.
I love fighting, man. I love fighting. I want to give back to the fans. They support me, so
Listen, we spoke about this already, but he was out in America and a lot was made out of him being a free agent, talking to other people, allegedly, but wasn't ever a concern of yours.
No, he phoned me up and
Look at it, say
I had to tell him off. And, obviously he backed down.
I
and
just
he
say
shit
to him,
himself
Eddie.
a bit.
I said to him,
I understand
Eddie,
that.
pull your trousers up and act like a man. Stop acting like a little girl. I'm not leaving you. I'm just seeing the options because he didn't want to give me his own money. So
I think it was more a situation of his US TV partner, perhaps, rather than necessarily promotional. Yeah, I'd like to think so, but I said in interviews, if someone don't like me and they don't want to work with me, they ain't going to work with me. I feel as though we've both done a great job for
But
each
this
other.
has worked well, isn't it?
It has worked very well. No, it has worked well. But just because it's worked well in the past doesn't mean that you just presume that it's going to continue to work well. So he will continue to put the pressure on me, as he always does, to deliver. And as I said earlier, I will continue to deliver. So,
we do great business. Once the wheels is rolling, it's great. But sometimes it's getting the wheels rolling is the problem.
He's very intense. He's very intense.
Really?
That's not what she said.
Oh, you got your
always
dad.
got to throw something
You got your
in
dad with it earlier on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you got your dad with it. Ideally, next week you want his situation done and dusted.
Yeah, I think. Well, we want to know the date and we want to know the venue, and then we start working on. I mean, we're already working on opponents, so and then we'll see what happens from there.
Obviously, he said April 13th is dead.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
I think
look,
we can
did
say
talk
that.
the other day at a meeting about whether it was worth continuing talks for that fight in May or June, and obviously the only way that would happen in Dillian's mind is if the offer was improved. So whether that happens or not, I think right now I'm thinking about how we make sure that he can fight. He's got a date. If the Joshua fight doesn't happen, which at the moment doesn't look like it's going to, next, then he's got to be in a big fight, because he's not going to miss that fight and then come out and fight a 10-rounder somewhere. He wants the headline here on box office, and that's what he'll do if he's not fighting Joshua. That's what he's done the last 2 fights.
Can you see a situation where he will fight Anthony Joshua in the back end of 2019?
Yeah, I think look, Dillian's, what I said in interviews yesterday, he's backing himself to be one of those guys, Wilder, Fury. And when you look at the division, commercially, there is 4 guys. Wilder, Fury, Dillian Whyte and AJ. They're the 4 biggest heavyweights in the world. So he wants to be on the same level in terms of commercial value as Wilder and Fury and all those guys. And if he keeps winning, he will be. So that's what he's backing himself to do. It is a dangerous game, and I think the fans will admire that, because he's rolling the dice every time
He's
he goes in.
taking a risk every time.
He is, but that's exciting, isn't it? I mean, that's what you want. But at the same time, I want to deliver him a shot at the world title. So part of my job is to do that, and the other job is to keep him busy, keep him active, keep him earning money, and keep him pushing him, not just active and earning money, but actually with a plan. Because it's very hard. It's not like, you've got all these other heavyweights out there. None of, like, you look at the top 10, how many of them are actually going to get shots at the world title? None of them. I mean, Konaki, Hrgovic, like Trevor Bryan, like anyone in the top 10, Joe Joyce. How are they going to manoeuvre into a shot? I can't see it for years and years and years. So, great being active, great earning money, but ultimately he wants to be world heavyweight champion. So.
One more thing.
Dalton.
The rematch you were talking about in the clause with obviously negotiations. Can you just repeat what you actually said regarding that?
So the first offer, they wanted the lion's share in the rematch, and I said no. And then the second offer, I said okay, I'll accept the terms, but with no rematch. And then the third offer, I said I'll give you the same deal you're giving me in the first fight and the rematch. And then I haven't heard anything.
We had a meeting on Monday, and we talked about, actually the offer you're talking about is the deal with no rematch. That was discussed on Monday. But anyway, look, I mean, it's very standard, and Dillian would ask for exactly the same thing in a voluntary defence. He knows that as well.
No, not really. No. When this was a fight, I didn't. Be honest, and this is
there was
fight.
a rematch clause.
Yeah, but I said to Cesaro, if you beat me, I'll give you the same split I'll give you now, and the rematch, I'll reverse it.
It was a slightly different split.
Yeah, but that's what I am though.
But anyway, look,
I'll do that.
You wouldn't go into a fight in a voluntary defence without you. You wouldn't. I wouldn't let you.
I did with Cesaro.
Yeah, but it's a different.
You
not at
forced
world
me to do that
championship
at
level.
Cesaro.
No, you had a rematch clause with Cesaro.
Yeah, but you forced me to give Cesaro the same split.
Yeah, but you had the rematch clause. If you were world heavyweight champion having a voluntary defence, trust me, you would have a rematch clause. It's just standard. It's industry standard. So the fact is, in my opinion, your perception was that offer wasn't good enough.
Okay, can I just say something? If I go in and I beat him, is it fair for him to get the lion's share in the rematch?
Well, I think.
No, just
50. I believe it was a 50-50 split in the rematch.
Listen. No, that's way after we've been arguing.
But that was the offer. It was 50-50.
Just a simple question. Do you think it's fair? I go in. I knock him out.
But the argument is on the same side is, you've been given a shot by Josh, right, in a voluntary defence.
That's fine.
So he's saying, no problem, this is a rematch clause. On the 50-50 split,
that wasn't the offer that was made in the first go.
But that's what it was.
Even you yourself said you told Joshua that offer is not acceptable.
But 50-50 was where we got to. We didn't really negotiate, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but we done that when the fight's at 11, 12 weeks away. Like that's not gonna. If you look what's serious, I'm not even trying to have an argument because we've had enough argument the last couple of weeks anyway. If you guys are serious, you come and give me something that's acceptable. I know the business. I know the numbers. I know the business. I know the numbers. So you should have said. You just said to him, Joshua, listen. We're 12 weeks out from the fight. Offer him something substantial for him to take the fight. With no point fucking about backward and forward.
You got to think about, look at Deontay Wilder. He got $3 million
But he
to
offered
defend
Joshua,
his
he offered
title.
Joshua 50 million.
I mean,
Joshua
boy,
didn't
did he
take
bullshit.
it.
He sent an email personally.
Listen, I've been out in America
Yeah, but it
and
doesn't
I
matter.
know
You
from
could
real
look into
source
other
that.
book. When I ask for a contract, they don't send it. So what are you supposed to do? But anyway, that's irrelevant. What I'm saying
Listen,
to you is that he got $3 million to fight Ortiz. Defend his WBC world title.
I've seen that the money was there.
What,
with
you
my
saw
eyes.
it what, piled up?
No, not piled up.
Mate, I'm telling you,
come on,
we
don't
never
be
got to
silly.
whether the money was there. We just asked for a contract. Listen, you see from Wilder's comments today, he ain't fucked. He ain't bothered. I've got 2 years till I've got to fight Joshua.
Espinosa said the door was there. Man, sure
Yeah, but what do you mean he showed
Listen,
you
I'm not
the door was
promoting
there?
it. I'm not getting involved in all of that. Listen,
No, but you don't
listen,
have to.
I know you're team AJ firstly.
I'm not,
I understand
but listen,
that. I
AJ is the
understand
biggest star in
Yeah, I
in
understand
boxing.
that. Your team
You
AJ
are very
firstly.
important to us, and
I
we've done a great
understand
job for you.
that.
And I want you to fight him.
I understand
want you
that.
to fight
I
him.
understand that. I understand that.
I want you to fight him.
That's all right.
And there's Richard Reckford. He might, he might be the
Hello, mate. All right. I almost forgot I was over here.
It's golden. This is going to do
I know,
fucking
listen.
hundreds of thousands.
One more question.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean,
If he was to get himself in a mandatory spot with the
There's no
WBO,
rematch, baby. No
WBO.
right, what's the
rematch.
split on that?
20%.
But there's no rematch.
For 20%.
There's no rematch.
Okay.
There's none. So I can negotiate the terms. Then I can say to Eddie, F you and AJ and give you like 10% in the rematch.
Yeah, but look, even 50, you make.
There's no rematch.
Yeah, but you'd make 15
There's no
million
rematch.
pounds
I
in a
can
rematch
sit.
at
I can sit
50-50.
down. I can sit down and listen in Eddie Hearn's office. I can sit in Eddie Hearn's office and say, listen, Eddie, I'm giving you and Joshua 20% in the rematch. And then Joshua wouldn't fight me in the rematch. He'd be like, nah.
No, but anyway.
It's all good.
It's all good. It's all
It's
good.
interesting.
It's
Me and
interesting.
Edward's all right.
When
Like I
calls
said, in
me
America,
Edward,
I
know
called
things are
him.
good.
I called him in America. I said, mate, it's all right. I'm not leaving you, sweetheart. You're okay. We
He was-
just,
he
know,
was-
I'm
he
just,
was-
I'm
he
just
was-
seeing what's
He
what.
was.
It's made things very interesting.
I'm not saying he was begging, but you know what I mean. He was worried because he saw an interview where I was a bit
He was
pissed off.
crying. He was
so
crying.
Dylan
He
phoned
went-
me up
he
and said,
went- he
"Ed,
went-
I just want to say
he
it's
went-
all for
he
show.
went- he went-
Please don't kick me out of the
Hey,
team. I need those pay-per-view shots. Keep playing me those millions
he
of
went-
pounds.
he went-
Oh,
he
Eddie,
went- hey,
don't do it to
hey,
me.
he went-
Please. I was only joking. I didn't have any meetings at all.
Alright, I let him shout because he likes being a little girl.
I'm going. I'm
Now,
going.
I'll be
Thank you,
professional
Eddie.
about it. I'll be
I'm going.
professional about it.
Goodbye.
I called him, he
Goodbye.
was
I love you.
crying.
I love you.
He was
I love
crying. You see, he was crying. He was
Dillian. It's a Dillian Whyte fan. He wants a photo with me.
All right.
No.